That morning, Megan felt like the luckiest girl on earth and was a little nervous. She was getting married. Standing in front of the mirror, the girl looked at her reflection. The dress sat perfectly on her slender figure, and beautifully arranged hair emphasized the romantic image of the girl. Megan was only 20 years old, and her fiancé Dylan will soon be 30. The impressive age difference of 10 years did not frighten Megan. On the contrary, next to Dylan, she felt confident and protected. They met by chance. Megan was hurrying to the station to go to the village to check on her mother. Lately, the woman was often ill. The girl was in a hurry, but the bus left. She started after the abandoned vehicle, frustrated, not knowing what to do. Megan had already taken her phone out of her purse to call a cab, calculating in her mind how much the trip would cost, when suddenly an expensive car stopped in front of her. "Can I give you a ride, young lady?" A handsome brunette smiling looked at her from inside the car. "Where are you going?" "Actually, I have to go to the village," Megan said uncertainly. "My bus just left." "Get in, I will drive you," the man offered. "Don't you have something to do?" Megan was surprised at the offer. "All my business for today is done, so I can afford to give such a pretty girl a ride to wherever she needs to go. I'm Dylan." The man introduced himself, smiling broadly. And I'm Megan," the girl replied. "That's great. Let's consider that we have met." Megan sat down in the front seat with her purse on her lap. She was a little scared to be alone in a car with a strange young man. She glanced at Dylan, trying to get a better look at him without him noticing. "Where are you going?" he asked. "To the village. I'm going to see my mom." "She's been sick," Megan replied. "You see, I call her every day to ask how she's doing, and she says she's fine. But I know she says that because she doesn't want me to worry." Dylan nodded, showing that he understood Megan's concern. "It's good that you care about your parents," the man said. "Once they raised us, fed us, healed us, now we have to take care of our mother and father." Megan remained silent. She didn't want to tell this unfamiliar and handsome man that she had no one but her mom. The girl had never seen her father, even in a picture. Her mom just didn't have any, and she didn't like to tell Megan about her dad. Dylan turned up the music in the receiver, and the girl heard a popular song by her favorite band. "Do you like it?" Dylan asked, noticing that Megan smiled. "Yeah, I really like that band." "Me too. It turns out that you and I have something in common." The man was happy. On the road, Dylan told a little about himself. He's a businessman, not married, and has no children, but he dreams about it. It's strange that such a handsome and wealthy man is still single, Megan thought, and her personal life wasn't going well at all. As Megan was dropping Megan off at her mother's house, Dylan asked, "Can I call you sometime? Maybe we could go out or just take a walk." The girl's heart beats faster. She hadn't expected Dylan to ask her to continue getting to know her, but she was dying to see him again. Megan dictated her phone number to the man. Her mother wasn't feeling well. Rebecca was still a fair young woman, not yet 50 years old, but the disease had been plaguing Rebecca for 2 years. "Mommy, why didn't you call me and tell me you were sick?" Megan exclaimed when she saw her mother in bed. "Why will that bother you? I will rest and everything will be fine." The woman waved her hand and smiled weakly. "You follow me, you take care of me, and you need to organize your personal life." "Stop it. I don't want to hear it." "You're my dearest person." Megan sat next to her mother on the bed and stroked her hand. Mom was raising her only daughter alone. Despite the fact that it was difficult, she tried to give Megan a good education. The girl practiced music and dance, did well in school and college. Megan loved her mother endlessly and was grateful to her for everything she did for her. That's why whenever she could, she would rush to her mother's house in the village. After spending the weekend with her mother, Megan returned to the city. A few days later, Dylan called her and asked her out on a date. The girl was so happy that until the end of the working day, she couldn't concentrate on the documents. And when she came out of the office and saw Dila with a bouquet of flowers, she froze on the spot. The man, smiling, held out the flowers to her. "It's good to see you again," he said to Megan. "Do you think I could take you on a romantic date to a very beautiful place?" "I don't even know. A date?" The girl was confused. "If that word confused you, let's call it a romantic walk." Dylan held out his hand to her and led her to his car. They drove out of town and then drove along the shore of a large lake. Megan wondered where this man, who she liked more and more, was taking her. He just smiled enigmatically. "Here we are," Dylan finally said, parking the car in the parking lot. Megan noticed a large house and some buildings. She got out of the car and looked around. "Do you like horses?" Dylan asked. "I do. Is this a horse club?" "Something like that. Come on." He took Megan's hand and led her toward the buildings. A gray-haired man led the horses out. "Hi, John." Dylan shook his hand. "Is everything ready?" "Yes." As agreed, "The horses are ready," John answered. "Thanks, buddy. We will take it from here." Megan was excited about the horseback ride along the lake shore. She had been able to ride horses since she was a child, and Dylan was surprised at how well she could ride. "Did you forget I'm a country girl? A horse is the smartest animal in the world. It understands when a man is kind to it." Megan laughed. The girl stroked her white mare. "You surprise me," Dylan said. "I still have many talents. I play the piano, I sing, I dance. My mom worked hard to teach me a lot of things," Megan said as the man helped her dismount. "You're a wonderful girl." Dylan held her hand, looking her straight in the eye, and Megan was a little embarrassed. "Thank you for a wonderful evening," she thanked the man. Dylan and Megan started dating. 3 months later, he introduced her to his parents, invited her to dinner at their house. The girl was very worried about how her rich father and her lover's mother would greet her. She already knew that Dylan's father is a big businessman, and his son helps him to run the family business. She's from a poor family, and in general was brought up as a single mother. But to the girl's surprise, Dylan's parents turned out to be very nice people. Her mother showed her the house and the garden with the beautiful rose bushes, and Megan confided in her, told her about her mom in the village and her illness. "Don't worry, baby," Dylan's mother said, putting her arm around her shoulders. "When you and Dylan get married, he will definitely help your mother. Our son is kind and sympathetic. He will not leave your mother in trouble." "Married?" Megan looked at Dylan's mother in surprise, and she was embarrassed. The day before, her son had told her and his father that he wanted to introduce them to the girl he loved and propose in front of his parents. But it was supposed to be a surprise for Megan. "I shouldn't have said that," the woman said guiltily. "Dylan is going to propose to you today." "What are you two talking about?" Megan and Dylan's mother turned around and saw men walking towards them on the garden's path. "Son, I've ruined your surprise," exclaimed the woman. "I told Megan that you wanted to propose to her." Dylan frowned a little, looking at his mother, and then hugged Megan. "Well, since it turned out that way, I want to ask you to be my wife." He handed the girl a box containing a beautiful and very expensive ring. Megan was speechless. She looked at Dylan and saw in his eyes love, tenderness, desire to be near her. "I agree," Megan said almost in a whisper. On the wedding day, Megan was especially charming and happy. She and Dylan received congratulations from the groom's parents and guests. The bride's mother didn't attend the wedding, saying she wasn't feeling well. Megan was a little sad, but Dylan was beside her, and it made her feel lighter and lighter. "You look gorgeous tonight. I can't wait to be alone with you in our bedroom," Dylan whispered in her ear, and the girl's cheeks glowed. The parents and the groom invited a huge number of guests to the wedding ceremony. When the young couple danced their first dance, few could hold back tears of emotions and delight. It was very romantic. The eyes of the lovers shone with happiness. Suddenly, Megan heard her cell phone vibrating nonstop. She decided to see who was persistent and pressed the button. "Your mother is dying." The bride read the message and her eyes went blurry and her body shook. She could no longer hear the congratulations of the guests who raised toasts to the young people, wishing them a long, happy life. Megan walked slowly to the exit of the hall and then rushed to run. "Where are you going, my love?" Dylan shouted after her. The guest was surprised to see the bride in lush white dress and veil walking away. "She probably wants to powder her nose in the ladies' room." Dylan shrugged to his parents, who were nearby. "She'll be back soon." Megan ran down the road, thinking only about one thing. She had to get to her mom as soon as possible. The girl didn't even think about who could have sent her this terrible message. Finally, she stopped, trying to figure out where she was. Breathing heavily, she looked around, while passers-by stared in surprise at her fiancés running around the street. "I will take too long on the bus, and I don't have money on me for a cab. I should go back and ask Dylan to take me to my mom's," Megan thought to herself. The girl hurried back to the restaurant, not stopping to think about her mother for a moment. Dylan was visibly nervous. His fiancée had been gone for about 15 minutes. Maybe the excitement made her sick, the man thought. "I will see where Megan is," he told his mother and headed for the exit of the hall. His fiancée stood at the mirror, fixing her hair. "There you are, honey," Dylan exclaimed, putting his arm around the girl's waist. "Why didn't you say you wanted to change your dress?" The man noticed that the dress on his bride was different. It was less luxurious than the previous one. "Well, I'm a girl, darling," the girl whispered. "I feel like changing outfits." All right, I don't mind. Let's go quickly to the guests." He dragged the girl back to the wedding banquet and sat the girl down on the table. The fun continued. Megan hurried into the restaurant. The girl climbed the steps and entered the hall and almost fainted. In her seat, next to Dylan, sat a bride in a white dress and veil. Megan walked over to the table. The room instantly became quiet. The dumbfounded guests looked at the two brides, who were like the drops of water similar to each other. The groom was speechless, moving his gaze from one girl to another, and his parents looked at each other in surprise. "Dylan, maybe you can explain to me what is going on here," Megan asked her fiancé. But the guy couldn't utter a word. But the bride sitting next to him at the table smiled and cynically sipping champagne from a glass. "I don't understand anything myself," the surprised guest whispered. A serious scandal was looming. Journalists were invited to the wedding. They certainly will not miss such a thing. I received a message on my phone that my mom was dying, and I wanted to go to her. And you've already found a replacement for me? I didn't think you would do this to me at our own wedding." Tears came to the girl's eyes. Dylan's mother entered the conversation. She came up to Megan and looked at her carefully, and then turned her gaze to the bride sitting at the table. "They look just like the two peas in a pod," exclaimed the woman. "I wouldn't have recognized it if I hadn't picked out this dress with Megan. And then who's this girl?" The groom's father nodded toward the other bride. The stranger laughed loudly, and then got up from the table and walked to the middle of the hall. "Dear guests, please pay attention. I see you're enjoying the performance. Then, where's the applause?" She laughed again. "Who are you?" Dylan shouted loudly at her. "Call security immediately. Get her out of here, whoever she is." "No, you'll all listen to me first. I'm your fiance's sister, groom. Yeah, yes, twin sister. But I never had any sister." Megan tried to justify herself. "You're wrong, sister. It's just that our dear mommy never told you about me. 20 years ago, she gave birth to us and decided that she will take you, and she didn't need me. That's it." Megan froze in shock. She couldn't believe her mother could do that. It wasn't like her. Megan's mom was a kind, caring woman. "She loved you, cherished you, and they sent me to the orphanage." The stranger continued. "Do you know what is it to live in an orphanage? Do you know what is it to live without a mother's love? We were underfed, beaten by our teachers, and punished for any small fault. I hate you all my life. I hated you with all my childish soul." "But how did you find me?" Megan asked. "When you started posting pictures of you and your future fiancé, showed me how you were getting ready for the wedding, I hated you even more." "Did you send me a message too?" Megan stared into her sister's face. "Well, who did? Of course I did," she said defiantly. "This is my wedding present to you. I think everyone here enjoyed the bifurcation of happy Megan." The bridegroom and their parents didn't know how to deal with the insolent bride. Finally, Dylan called security. "I don't want to see this sweet girl here, cheeky and deceitful," he declared as he looked at his favorite Megan. "Get out." The wedding was ruined. The guests slowly began to disperse, realizing that there will be no more fun. Dylan sat down at the table and poured himself a glass of whiskey. Megan sat down next to him. What had happened at her and Dylan's wedding was a revelation to her. She knew nothing about her sister, and now she had a lot of questions, but she was sure to find answers to them. A year passed. In the village cemetery, at her mother's grave, two girls were similar to each other, stood embraced. After the wedding, Megan found her twin sister on her own. They talked and cried for a long time, and then, together they went to their mother's house and cared for her until her death.